Hi, and I wanted to talk to you about something today because we have been talking about purpose, or I've been talking about purpose, and some of you have added into purpose. And I wanted to give you some clarity around the importance of purpose and how it shows up in people's lives when they're living a purposeful life versus just floating along in life. Have you ever been around people that just seem to have it all together? That they might be busy or stressed or whatever, but they are grounded, they're centered, and they are excited and passionate about their life. Or their life is just working for them in ways that you might feel a little bit of envy or jealousy. Or you have somebody in your life that says something and the next day it's being manifested. These are people most likely that are so tied in to their purpose and what they're here to do. Because when we're so tied into our purpose, the universe, our soul, our spirit guides are sending us what we need in order to live within this purpose. Purpose doesn't have to be this lofty statement about some amazing way of what you have to be or what you have to accomplish in this world. Some of you might have gone through purpose processes before and it might have seemed arduous or difficult or challenging, while others may intuitively or intrinsically know their purpose but haven't um, confirmed it or spoken it out loud. Having your purpose, I cannot say this enough, leads you to be able to manifest the kind of life you want to live into. Because purpose is based on what we are the most satisfied and filled and what gives us the most happiness in life. It's a very simple relationship to us. So when we are happy, when we're satisfied, when we're feeling fulfilled, when we're in such gratitude that it just comes naturally, it's because we are aligned with what our soul wants and we are living from that place. And what it also does is give us a sense of how we can be in life. So purpose is not only about what is it that I can do, that I can step into that's going to bring me some happiness and joy, but it's how do I want to be? And so years ago, I've been working with my purpose since my late 20s. And it has guided me, it has afforded all these different opportunities, which I think I've talked to you about in previous ones. But the thing I haven't talked to you about is what I do with my purpose and how I activate it year after year that then keeps making my life bigger and better every year. And when I say bigger and better, it might look like the exact same life from the outside to others. But inside, internally, I feel more expansive. I feel more energized. I feel more alive in my life. So if any of you are sitting out there and you're not feeling excited about your life, you don't feel alive, you're sitting in a state of the ho hums, on maybe just neutral, you're on automatic pilot getting through your day, that is not the way we were meant to live our lives. Your soul wants you to have your biggest, best life. So I want to share with you something that you can do that can help support purpose, but if you don't know your purpose, you can do it anyways so that it helps you be more cognizant of how you want to come to your life. You know, we only have two ways that we can operate in life. We either create, collaborate, manifest, whatever word you want to use, or we react. I play a lot of tennis, as you know, and there's only two ways. You're either on offense, you're making the charge, or you're on defense, you're trying to fend off that charge. It's no fun to be on defense. Defense is like reacting to life. It's no fun to only be in reaction to life. Because what happens is if we don't have this direction, if we don't have a desired state of being, a desired motion of forward momentum, then life kind of just goes along and we do just react. And our reactions to things could take over our lives. So, for instance, I might have 20 things happening in a day, but because I'm focused on how do I want to be during my day, what are the things I want to contribute in the world, these things that are pesky and nuancy kind of drop away. And do I still have to do them? Yes, but it doesn't hold the charge that if I'm just reacting, it would hold a charge. So let me give you an example. Over the weekend, I was with my husband. We went to New York City for the weekend to have some fun. And as we were driving, he just retired and he had to get in touch with Social Security. And he went on for a good 15 minutes of how horrendous Social Security is, how long you have to wait on the phone, how blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this week I had to make a lot of those kinds of calls too to large companies, and I'm always on waits, and with the apology of, oh, the call volume is higher. Everyone knows what that means. They don't have enough people to handle the request, and so you, the consumer or the patient or whoever, is waiting extra long time. Now, I had 7 of these kinds of calls to make. And I could have let myself get all wound up like my husband did. Or I could have said, oh, where's an hour where I'm just doing some stuff either in my office or I'm cleaning my house or I might be relaxing watching a show. I find the hour in my calendar and I'm like, I'm going to call them during that hour. Because the idea is I'll just keep the volume on low while I'm doing some other things that I need to do. So this pesky thing doesn't turn into this big overwhelm or upset that some people, namely my husband, makes it out to be, because you're still doing and creating and having the life that you want. So that's how purpose is. When we wake up and we know the direction, what we want, how we want to be, it drives us into living in a state that allows just things to get manifested for us. So I want to tell you that along with purpose, one of the key things I do every year is I pick a word. So my word for the last 3 years, embarrassed to say this, was joy. Joy, joy, joy. And the reason was the first year I was just sort of getting acquainted to where I found joy in my life. The second year, I really looked at all the things that brought me joy and then how was I in a joyful state. And it was interesting to me because what I discovered was I had some limiting beliefs around being in joy all the time. It's not possible, it's not necessary, blah, blah, blah. You go down that whole list, right? So I had to do energy work around them to clear them out so I could stay in a more joyful place. And then the third year was when I really felt like I could be in my life and feeling the joy, feeling and really absorbing those joyful moments or joyful times or joyful conversations. And I thought to myself, okay, I've now locked in my relationship with joy. So where do I want to go this year? How do I want to show up? How do I want to be? You see, it's not about doing, it's about bringing yourself to your life in a different way. When I was younger, I used to have to use the words courage, a bravery, because I was working in corporate America. I was on a little bit of a fast track. I worked with people that were 10, 15, 20 years older than me that had way more experience. And so, in order to speak my voice, in order to put my contributions in and be seen as an equal partner, not just the youngin' that's coming up, it took a lot of courage for me to speak out, to share ideas, or to oppose something. And so, one of the words I just remember for years, I worked on courage. What did it feel like when I was being courageous? What did it feel like when I stepped away from courage and went to safety? Because for me, courage and safety were really tied. It wasn't safe to be courageous. And so that was a limiting belief. So I had to break that down, release the energy around that, flip the belief to say courage creates even more safety in my life because I'm getting to contribute in a way that I value and others might value. You see? So this year, the word I am stepping into is savor. And it sort of dropped in. I think I had a different word in December that I thought I was going to transition to. I might have even shared that word with you, I don't know. But over the Christmas holidays, I had lots of moments and even actually more time to myself because I had COVID. So I had to isolate a little bit more than I'm used to. And I thought to myself, okay, so I really feel like I'm able to take in joy, I'm able to be in joy, and I'm ready to, and I'm able to amplify having more joy in my life. Like, but that was a 3 year journey for me. And what is it now? And that's when I got that word savor. How do I show up and savor? Savor the moments, savor the connection. Sometimes even savor the pain in the neck thing you're going through, right? And so I started to use it, and I noticed a couple of things changing when I set my intention every morning to show up and be in a savoring place. So, for instance, one of the things I noticed was me being more complimentary to myself as well as to others, but I found my head language, we all have those little voices in our head, being so much more complimentary. Isn't that fascinating? And by receiving or holding myself in such a positive light, allowed me to show up even in a bigger way in my whole beingness with my heart open so I could experience more, so I could savor the energy of love or support or connection or growth or whatever it is. So for me, this year, my words around savor, you'll probably hear some other stories along the way of how it's showing and what is it creating in my life. That's the power of connecting your word to your purpose. It's like purpose isn't all about doing, it's how are we going to be in this lifetime? How do we, as physical beings, spiritual beings, energetic beings, allow ourselves to breathe into this life in a way that helps to continue to support our own growth and our own experiences? Given that, I would love you, whether you have your purpose or not, take a few moments and just be quiet and ask yourself that question. Ooh, what word, what way of being can really serve me this year? It could be based on something you noticed in your life. Like a friend of mine said she's been working on love for a few years. And she said, I got the concept of love, but I never knew what it meant to really embody and embrace loving me or loving another. So think about something in your life that you want more of. Not that you're bad at. This isn't to beat yourself up. This isn't to make yourself wrong. It's to say to you, what do I put my attention on? Because whatever we put our attention on is what we end up creating. So pick a word that reflects something that you would love to create more of in your life, whatever that is. And then see how it plays out day after day. And remind yourself every morning, oh, my intention is to savor life, savor this day, savor this interaction, savor my relationships with, XYZ. You take your word in every day based on what's on your calendar, maybe just based on what you feel like that day. How would the word you choose allow you to step in differently by holding that for yourself? So I said something, and I said, what you put your attention on is what we end up creating. Also, what we put our intention on is what we're telling the universe, our spirit guides, God, whatever your belief system is, what we're sharing with them we would like more of. They work on behalf of us. They want to support us. So by sharing that intention every morning, not only with yourself, but believing that the universe, God, your spirit guides hear you, they're going to help you manifest that. They'll give you more opportunities for that to show up. What will bring you to a higher level of happiness and joy? All right, everyone. I'll see you next week. Bye.